embarrassment to both this government and New Zealand First.
I call Dan Bidois.
Madam Chair, it is a pleasure today to be speaking on the Employment Relations Amendment Bill. Now, I first came across this bill, Madam Chair, I should say, while I was at Foodstuffs last year. And not many of the people at Foodstuffs were happy about this bill. They weren't clear about what problem are they actually trying to fix. And then I got elected about six. That's right. That's right. Low union membership. That's what's clear to us on this side of the House, Madam Chair. But then I got elected about 6 months ago, at the time that this bill was put into committee stage. And I haven't had a chance to sit on that committee, but I've gone around and interviewed a lot of businesses in that time. And it is, again, very clear that this bill doesn't seek to solve any problem that is real in the marketplace beyond giving unions greater power to essentially recruit members and that this is a sense of payback. And I know that there's a fine line of what we can say here in the House, Madam Speaker, but that is what the people out there in the marketplace are feeling, that this is a sense a payback for what the unions have done for certain political parties. But let's come to the bill, Madam Speaker, because I think it's a really important bill to understand. And what I want to spend a bit of time on is this thing called a MECA. And I'm not talking about MECA as in the place in the Middle East. I'm talking about the multi-employer collective agreement. I'm going to be honest, a year ago I had no idea what a MECA was. And nor do most employers, Madam Speaker. And so, we're going through the clauses, and we're going through the clause section which deals with the MECA and the duty to conclude. Now, Madam Chair, I know that we've got an SOP on the table that narrows the duty to conclude only for those that are under an employment, a collective agreement, or collectively bargaining a collective agreement. But I do want to just spend a bit of time, and I'd love to hear from the Minister about how he sees this working in practice, because all of the businesses that I've spoken to can't see how MECAs work on a practical basis. And let me take any industry, whether it be retail, whether it be wholesale, whether it be the business that I used to work in, which is Foodstuffs. And there are, as you know, foodstuff stores throughout the country, but each store has their own unique challenges. And the business world doesn't feel simply that MECAs are a sufficient mechanism for what is going to be very unique and localised challenges across New Zealand. For example, some foodstuff stores in, say, Hamilton, there may be some issues around, the cafe. And so, what the employers want at that store is a better cafe. But then there might be a supermarket up in Auckland where there's just a brand new cafe on store. So why is it that there's a MECA agreement? Why should a MECA agreement apply essentially to them when we're talking about very unique circumstances? And I do want to talk a little bit more about Foodstuffs, Madam Speaker, because they made a submission on this bill regarding MECAs. And they've said it very clearly that it's not practical or appropriate where there are very localised issues going on within their stores throughout the country. So they recommend a repeal of that, which is where I come to my SOP in my name, SOP number 114, which essentially deletes clause 13 and 14. And this would essentially allow the employers to opt out and would not mean that you need to conclude a MECA. And I think that this would address some of the issues that I've spoken with both large employers but also medium as well, that they don't feel that an industry-wide approach is flexible, and it certainly doesn't speak to the employment arrangements that we have already. I've mentioned already in this House, Madam Chair, that we already have one of the most flexible, efficient labour markets in the developed world, and this clearly does not. Madam Chair.
I call the Honourable Claire Curran.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a great honour, actually, to